Good morning, everybody. This is Michael DeChiara, coordinator for Valley Gives, and this is the conference call about peer fundraising with GiveGab. So, without further ado, I want to introduce Sara Etelman, who is the development director for Girls Inc. in Holyoke, and has been working with GiveGab for, I want to say, maybe 2 years, but somewhere between a year and a half and 2 years, and is quite expert both in GiveGab and with peer fundraising. So it's delightful to have someone who has local expertise. And Sarah's going to talk about, what she's learned and what she can suggest in terms of doing peer fundraising. And then we're also joined by Rebekah Casad, who's from GiveGab, who has deep expertise about how the system works. And I think between the two of them, we'll cover a lot of ground today. So I am going to turn it over to Sara and sit here and listen. So Sara, you've got the floor.
Great. Thank you, Michael. I first want to say hi to everybody. I know that you can't say hi back, but this is exciting for me. We've been doing peer fundraising at Girls Inc. for, I think this is our third year of doing this, and we do it for the Giving Days. We do it for other events as well, and it is so successful for us that it really is exciting that GiveGab is now available to us. I am thrilled that we are on GiveGab this year, and delighted that Rebekah is here to help out with some of the technical aspects as well. And hopefully I'm going to try and stop frequently to ask questions or ask for questions, and please feel free to ask. I'm not an expert on peer fundraising. I am an expert on peer fundraising for Girls Inc. So if you have questions that have to do with your personal organization, I can try and answer, but I might not be the one to do that. But please do ask questions when we open that up. So some of the questions that I want to talk about today are, what is peer fundraising and how do you do it? And those are some pretty general questions. Peer fundraising is getting your volunteers and your supporters to help you fundraise. It's great on a giving day when somebody gives you $100 or gives you $20 or whatever the amount is that they're giving. It's even better when somebody who is passionate about your organization is willing to help you by sharing your organization with their network, because there's no other way to bring in more people than to spread yourselves around a little bit, and your passionate supporters are the best way to get that word out. So one of the ways that you can do that on these giving days is by having peer fundraisers. We have done this successfully over the past several years, starting with our board and committee members, because, again, those are some of your most passionate volunteers and your passionate supporters. So when we create our giving page for Valley Gives or for whatever the event is, and then ask our board and committee members to help us get the word out, they could either copy and paste a link into an email or into Facebook or Twitter or whatever the social media is that they use, or they can create their own giving page based on your page, your organization's page, and then they've got a little bit of ownership. It's got their name on that page, and they've got their own goal. They can set that goal to whatever they want. I believe the default is $500, and most of our board members will up their goal to $1,000. Some of them will lower it, but most of them keep it at least at that $500 goal. And then they've got their own little personal challenge going on, that they want to make sure that their friends and their family are supporting them personally. And that is such a fabulous way to get new people involved in your organization. So again, we start with our board and committee members. If you have volunteers, if that are great supporters of yours, maybe they're not necessarily financial supporters, but again, they feel passionately about your organization, and so much so that they're willing to donate their time. They might be able to make a $20 or a $25 donation and spread the information around and take a little bit of ownership and create a peer giving page and then share that with their networks. Because if they are that interested in your organization, chances are they've got some other people around that will be as well, or that they are friendly enough with, that those are people that would want to support that one person who isn't supporting your organization. Your top donors and their friends, or your friends, those are also people that are potential fundraisers for you. Your top donors clearly have an interest in your organization, and anything that they can do to help you, they want to do. They want to see you succeed, and that's what this Giving Day is all about: is seeing your organization succeed. And if you have a goal of a financial goal for the day, you want to meet that goal, and all of your supporters want to help you, and they want to help you do that however they can. And a peer giving page is so easy. GiveGab makes it, I love GiveGab. You're going to hear that over and over today, but I love GiveGab, and they make it so easy for you and your supporters to create that peer page and share it, and then hopefully meet your goal. I'm going to talk a little bit more and then pause for questions. There's a question about how your supporters are going to have questions about how to set up their page. Again, it is super easy. I love to tell our board and committee members it just takes 2 clicks of your mouse and you're in. And it's sort of true. The pages act a little bit differently on a giving day than they do on the general campaigns, which is what I have the most experience with. So it might be 3 clicks of the mouse, but it's still not a lot of clicks. And if once you have created your organization's giving page, and Rebekah can give you some more technical details about this, but once you've created your organization's giving page, there's a place where you can go to invite other people to be peer fundraisers. And you can type in their name and their email address, and they get an email with the link already there. They click on the link. They might need to create a password, and then they're in, and their page is created. They don't have to do another thing to create the page. And at that point, they just need to copy and paste the link that they're given. That's the page that they've created. They can put that into an email. There's a share button for Facebook. There's a share button for Twitter, and it is super easy to create those pages. We do trainings. I do the trainings. We have board and committee meetings every month, and I do a training a couple of weeks before Valley Gives. And if you have computers or laptops or iPads available for people, they can create their pages right there. Over the past several years, I've also been able to create a one-page handout for people as a reminder of how they can get back into their page and some of the tweaks that they can make, because there are tweaks. They can add a profile picture. They can add a story picture. They can be more descriptive about the reason that they're doing a fundraiser. After the 2016 election, people got pretty vocal about why they were supporting Girls Inc. and would write very passionate essays. And that our top fundraiser after that election raised $5,000 for us, which is huge. It was a big part of our goal. So the easier that page can be for them to create, the better, and it is super easy. So Michael had given me a few questions to make sure that I talked about, so that I was being as thorough as possible with the information that I was giving out. And one of the questions he asked is, what other additional materials do we provide so that people are comfortable pushing out our organizational message? And I guess my answer to that would be anything they want. We have what we call Girls Inc. 101. It's a page of information that we've typed up. It's a single-sided page that has our mission, that has a little bit of background information. It might even have some contact information if folks want to get in touch with the organization. That's helpful to have on hand. But as most of you probably know, because I think most of you have been through a giving day before, or Valley Gives, it's less of a day of questions about the organization and more of a day about people being excited about giving. So that goes back to the better and more informative and brief you can make your page all at the same time, because that's the page that your peer fundraisers are going to be creating their page from. When they click on that link to create their own page, it is a duplicate of your page with their little bit of information added in. So again, gives them ownership, makes it look like their page. They get to add some more personal information if they want, so that it becomes their personal page. But it's your organization's information on there, and you don't really want them changing that. So as good as you can make it and as complete as you can make it, using all of that information that we've learned from the various seminars that Valley Gives and the Community Foundation have been offering, to make that page as good as you can, then hopefully the answers about your organization are there. You can always have a link back to your organization's own website or your own Facebook page if you need to have more information out there. But really the day is about, and hopefully your volunteers have enough information that they can feel passionate about sharing that page. But giving them backup information that you might already have certainly is helpful for that. Another question that might get asked is, how are you going to help us? How are you going to check in with us? And I keep an eye on the pages once people are creating them, and GiveGab will let me know when someone has created a page. As the administrator on the GiveGab page, I get an email that says, here's your daily summary of what has happened, and it will let me know at the end of the day who has created peer pages. And then I can go and check on those. And one of the really neat additions that I've noticed this year on GiveGab is that you can customize. Once a peer has created their giving page, there's a little box where they can type in some more information, and the default in that box is, I support this organization's mission and I want to help them succeed. It's not very specific. You, as the administrator on the page, can type something new in there. You can make it be specific to your organization, but generic enough that anybody, any peer who creates a page, giving page, can use that same information. So I've changed it to something that has more to do with Girls Inc. as opposed to being generic about, I support this organization's mission. But your peer fundraisers can go in and change that even more. And that was what I was talking about earlier, about where some of our folks were typing in some really long explanations about why they were supporting our organization. And that's a good thing. Let them do that. But keep an eye on it, because you want to let them know if it's a little over the top or they delete it by mistake and there isn't anything there. You want to let them know. And you can help them create something different if they need to, or let it be if it's okay. And then as far as tracking their progress leading up to and during Valley Gives, I absolutely do keep an eye on that. I will send out reminder emails to folks if I notice that either they haven't created their page, because I will send out those emails after our committee meetings next week, so that people will have a full 2 weeks to create their peer pages. We don't necessarily need them created much more than that in advance, because we don't want people to start donating to the pages before April. I think it's the 26th, if I'm remembering correctly. Michael can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, that is correct. Yeah.
Okay. So April 26th would be the day that we would want those pages up and running, and you don't really want people sharing them much before that. So giving them about a week to create those pages is more than enough time. And then once I've sent out their links and their emails, I will keep an eye on it. And if I see that there are people who are not creating their pages or need to put in a little bit more information, I will be in touch with them individually. If it's a lot of people, I might send out a group email. But I do watch that. And then I'll watch them as we start, as we get past April 26th and start getting closer. I will send out reminders. Remember to share your page, because nobody knows that it's there if you don't share it. Share it through email, share it through Facebook, share it through Twitter. However, whatever the platform is that people use, whatever the social media is that they use, that's where they want to share it. I think we've got one committee member who has asked me whether she can share it on Pinterest. Sure, she can share it on Pinterest. She can create an image that goes with it and share it, because that's what Pinterest is all about. If there are other platforms people want to share to and they need my help, either providing them with some kind of graphic, I'm happy to do that. But hopefully they do that in advance of the giving day, and they don't wait until Valley Gives to ask me to help them out with that kind of stuff. So keeping an eye on it beforehand and reminding people, once you've created your page, get ready to share it. Remember to share it. Remember to share it, because if you don't share it, nobody sees it. And again, that's super repetitive, but that's what it's all about, is making sure that once folks have created that page, they're then spreading it to their networks. And some of our board and committee members are not super active social media users, and they might need a little bit more help figuring out how to get that message out there. Some of them are super comfortable on email, but copying and pasting a link from one place to another might be more of a challenge. And again, I do provide an in-person training. I am more than happy for people to come into the office. If it's somebody who can't get out very much, I can sometimes arrange time to meet them wherever it is that they need me to go. Or I'm pretty good at doing some technical help over the phone. If it's beyond my capabilities, then we figure out another way to do it. But as much as I can provide to folks so that they will help us, that's what this is all about, is giving people the tools so that they can then be the passionate supporters for you and spread your word. So I'm going to pause and let Rebekah jump.
And I was just going to jump in real quick. There's a couple of questions that got typed in that sort of continue from what you're talking, Sarah. So one was, there was some interest if in the information you share in your handout, if you can maybe, because there's things that you probably learned that you want to remind people or point out to people, if you can share that. And I would suggest if that works, maybe you send it to me and I can send it out to the participants. But it seems like some of those things that you call out in your handout would be appreciated to know, if that makes sense.
The handout on how to set up a giving page, or the handout on what is Girls Inc.?
No, for the giving page that you would give out during your committee meeting to sort of help people remember.
I can send that to you. Again, it's very specific to Girls Inc. And I have not created one for this year's giving page, which is a little bit different than the pages we've done in the past. But the information that I'm including is really step 1, click on the link. Step 2, create a password. Step 3, here's how to copy and paste. And I do give them that very specific computer help. So it's really more about computer help and less about GiveGab and Valley Gives, although the longer handout that I've created does indicate the places where people can make those changes. So changing where it says, I support this organization's mission, adding that they can add information in there. And we want them to add information in there, although I've this year have the ability to change that for them so that it is more specific about our organization. But that's one of the places that they can go in and either type over what I've typed, or they can add on to it. That one is important. I give them information on how to change their profile picture. Again, it's all about customizing the page. And then they can earn stickers. And again, Rebekah can talk more about the technical aspects of this. But as people complete an action, they get an online sticker that it's kind of like a game, and you're working towards a goal. And we indicate that folks can get stickers for each of these different things, whether it's once you've created the page, once you've shared the page, once you've donated to your own page, you get little awards for doing those things. It used to be that once you've made halfway to your own goal, you got a sticker. Once you've met your goal, you get a sticker. And people like working towards a reward. So that's for the personal fundraiser. But again, we point that out so that they can see that that's what's going to happen. And that's most of what I include in that handout. And it's several pages because I do screenshots.
Great, cool. So Rebekah, do you want to jump in with a little bit of the technical GiveGab stuff? And I'll just prompt you by saying one person asked a question about supposed to being added by the organization. If someone wanted to add themselves, is that an option, and or would you recommend it? But why don't you just sort of give the technical background of how this all works?
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, everyone. I'm Rebekah, and I'm working on Valley Gives with GiveGab this year. Before I go into those details, I want to just reiterate how important peer-to-peer fundraising is. Historically, we see that the organizations who use peer-to-peer fundraising get an average of 4 new donors per individual peer fundraiser. And historically, they raise about 3 times more than organizations who don't use peer fundraising. So this could be a really huge impact for your organization. And just like Sara and Michael have said, we have a lot of resources for you already prepared, how to set up profiles, how to share them with everyone, strategies. So if you're looking for more help, we have it pretty much for you. And we will take some time later on, to answer some more specific questions. But to follow up with what you just asked, Michael, yes, there are multiple ways to create a peer fundraising page. One, the administrator for the organization can invite someone but also there is an individual fundraise button that will appear on your profile. And so individuals can go to your profile and fundraise on your behalf and sign up absolutely themselves independently of your invitation. With that, once a donor makes their gift, they will automatically receive an emailed thank you receipt and a tax receipt with that. And in that message, it actually does say, you can help spread the word now and create your own fundraising page. So there's another prompt to fundraise for your organization in the email message that goes right to your donor. So really, this is going to be seen everywhere. So if you're looking for other options to how to start fundraising pages, just know that only the fundraise button on your profile, that button will only appear once your organization has entered your bank account information and has been verified to accept donations. So if you haven't yet done that, make sure you spend some time very, very soon and get that information in. Otherwise, you as the admin would have to invite people. So that's just one of the things we do here on the platform, and I'd be happy to answer more questions about that if you have any. But yeah, so let's say you as the admin, you have an idea, your board members, like Sara said, it's a great way to use them as peer fundraisers. You can use your Giving Day dashboard, and you scroll down to the bottom, and one of the sections says add fundraisers. And just like Sara said, you'll add their first name, last name, and email address. And then you have a little option to include just a short message, because their invitation will be sent to them in their email inbox. And once you click that submit and you share that invitation, that page is automatically created, because again, like Sara said, we will have that standard message that will automatically appear on that Peer Fundraisers page. You can customize it, and we recommend customizing it too, and customizing the goal based on what your Peer Fundraisers capabilities are. So the standard right now is $500, but you can lower that, you can raise it. Just make sure you're working with what your peer fundraisers are able to do. You don't want to you don't want to intimidate them, but again, let this be a goal for them to try to reach. So once you do send that email, their page is created. And once they get that email, it will automatically include instructions on how to access their peer fundraising page. It will include a link to all the resources that we have available to them, guides on how to set up and share their page, and everything is already included in that email. So once someone starts, they click the Let's Get Started button. They actually will have a dashboard that is very similar to your Giving Day dashboard, and it breaks down the different steps on how to be a successful peer fundraiser. So that first step is creating that story. Just like you're doing with your organization, the peer fundraisers have that chance to share why they are so passionate about fundraising for your organization. They can change that goal, that monetary goal, and include an image or a link to a YouTube or Vimeo video. So they're able to really customize that and share their personal connection with your organization. And then from that, we have other prompts on the peer fundraising dashboard to make a donation. You want to be the first person to show your commitment and that you're in this to win this for your organization. You're also encouraged to reach out, send emails to your friends and family to ask for support. You can enter email addresses manually through the dashboard, or if you are using some online mail clients, we can help connect that with those programs for you. Another prompt is to share socially to Facebook and Twitter. Each peer fundraiser will have their own unique URL page. And so while sharing your organization's page is great, they can share their own page too, to really have that ownership of the fundraising campaign, to share it to their personal friends, because like Sara said, you want to have a face with a story, so it's their personal information in terms of name and picture, obviously, but just is really nice that it's unique to each person. And then each peer fundraiser does have a give thanks section as well. You want to give a little bit of more personal stewardship to those people who decided to make a gift to your fundraising page. So they will have access to the name of the person and the amount, because obviously this would probably be from your close network of friends. So we're going to ask you to make an extra personal thank you to all those supporters that donated to your specific campaign. So while any donations received through your page or through your organization's page would automatically get that thank you email and tax receipt, you want to make sure you're following up with them later because they made a special effort to go to your fundraising page. It doesn't hurt to have that nice, lovely personal touch with everything. And so just like Sara said, every time someone fills out a section of their peer-to-peer fundraising dashboard, they do get that little sticker. We love gamifying things, making it really fun and exciting, and you want to get to that next section so that you are fully complete in your profile. It's fun. And likewise, if you have more than one peer fundraiser, their totals, all the money that your peer fundraisers reach and raise do go right back to your organization and are counted in your organization's totals. So on your main organizations page, you'll actually see kind of a small leaderboard of your peer fundraisers. We call them fundraising champions on your profile page, but it actually will rank them in order of amount of donations they've received. So again, it's kind of having that incentive. And we find that, especially with board members, they want to be at the top of that leaderboard. So it kind of gives them a little bit more, gut in the game to really make the most of it, share it socially, because that's what it's all about, raising funds, expanding your organization's reach, letting others know what your mission is. And that's really, really important. And so going back to the peer page itself, like Sara said, with that story, the peer fundraisers are able to customize that section, including that goal and their personal connection to your organization. But right underneath it is the original profile for your organization too. So don't worry that your organization won't be as prominent in those pages. It actually will have everything that you've included in your organization's profile. So that means donation levels, they will be listed on the peer fundraisers page too. If you have matches are amazing, great ways for donors to see their dollars go even further. So if a donor were to make a page to the peer fundraisers organization, that will actually be applied to that match incentive as well. And so when they go to the donation form, they'll actually be able to see a list of all matches that are currently in operation through your page, and their money will be matched, and again, will show on your page's matches progress bar. So again, everything that your peer fundraiser is able to achieve in terms of fundraising, your organization achieves it well. So this is a great, easy, simple way to, again, I can't say this enough, expand your reach even further. I know that's a lot, and I could actually talk about peer fundraising all day long, so I don't want to talk your ears off too much. But as an admin, again, add them, invite them yourself with their name, email address, and a message thanking them for being a peer fundraiser. If you have entered your bank account information and you are able to accept donations, you'll have an additional fundraise button that will appear on the top of your profile for individuals to go right to the page and sign up themselves to be your peer fundraiser. And then in terms of what data that can be seen during the day, your peer fundraisers will have a very minimal report in terms of who were their donors, and that will be on their dashboard under the Give Thanks section. So they would be able to see the donor's name and the amount, and that's about it. Because really the money is going to your organization, and you want to make sure that you're in charge of that. But you as the organization administrator will have access to the donor's name, amount, the rest of the information around that, and it will also tell you if it came through a peer fundraising page and from what peer fundraiser the donor gave to. All right.
Actually, a question about that, just in terms of the gamifying part. I don't know, Sara,
Absolutely.
if you have done this, but in terms of if you wanted to have a competition among your peer fundraisers, is the way that you would know how many people raised a certain amount of money or got a certain number of donations from the dashboard, and just that it's designated from a particular peer fundraiser by name?
On the
Yes.
This is Sara,
Oh,
and I can answer this one if you want. On your organization's page, on the front page, it says Fundraising Champions. As you scroll down the page, it's in the bottom right corner. And that will show you throughout the day. I mean, I'm looking at our page right now, and there's 2 of us that have created our own page. And at the moment, the amount next to that is 0. But throughout the page, that will show you in numerical order who has raised the most. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I think just in terms of tracking, and it seems like just like we're trying to motivate people to give generally, that motivating peer fundraisers to be active and reaching out to their networks, if you're able to sort of have sometimes internal motivation / competition, having that data is important. So that's exactly what I was asking.
Yes. And I also want to just jump in and add on to what Rebekah was saying earlier about the number of donations and how you can expand your reach and how you can expand the amount of money that you're raising. And I forgot to add this statistic in the very beginning, but we used GiveGab for Giving Tuesday this past November, and 70% of our donations came through peer fundraisers. That we were blown away. And I know that Valley Gives and Giving Tuesday are 2 totally different animals, but for 70% of our donations, when we were using all of the same social media that we use for other giving days, that was absolutely huge. So it works. I would say during Valley Gives Day, it's about 50% of our donations come in through peer fundraisers.
Yeah, I think that's an important point just in terms of the future of fundraising, that a lot of what we're trying to do at the foundation is acclimate people who want to support nonprofits and philanthropy generally as to the different tools. And, so what you're saying, Sara, is that people are learning how to use peer fundraising throughout the year, which, every organization is doing work throughout the year. So the more that there's tools for them to help you beyond just one day, that's a good thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think in terms of our ability to capture questions, the only way I can do it is online. So I apologize to the people who just called in. We figured out after the fact what that limitation was. But I think we've got most of the questions that people have asked so far. And I don't know if there's anything that you guys want to add based on what each of you heard. My sense, just to sort of, yeah, go ahead.
So I just had one more thing to add to kind of that incentivization in what you have access to as an administrator. So just like you do have that access to seeing the monetary amounts and the peer fundraiser associated on the main page, on the back end, on your Giving Day dashboard, all of your peer fundraisers will be listed under the Add Fundraiser section. And it really does break it out by the fundraiser's name, how many donors they've received, the amount of money they've raised, and what their goal was. And it also shows you how many emails that person, your peer fundraiser, sent, or how many Facebook posts they had, or Twitter mentions. It shows you the progress of not only what they've been able to accomplish in terms of donors and dollars, but also what kind of effort they're putting into it. So if you see that, this one peer fundraiser sent 13 emails, wow, they're really doing a great job, you can message them right from the dashboard and say, hey, keep up the great work. Or if you see likewise that someone hasn't done anything, hasn't sent out an email or a Facebook or Twitter post at all, you can message them and say, hey, remember to share your personal link. So feel free to use those capabilities and features that are already built into the platform for you. And it's just a great way to track what's been going on through your donors, through your peer fundraisers, and help motivate them a little bit more if they need a little bit of extra TLC.
Yeah, I would also say that functionality is helpful in terms of the prizes. One of the challenges on Valley Gives Day is people sort of get bombarded by information. But if if you're going for a prize for a certain hour and you want people to sort of, push out the word to their networks, doing it through that functionality would be helpful. Or, if there's a couple of younger fundraisers and you're going for the multiple age or the multiple town prizes, that, if you can sort of understand who people are in terms of that positioning, that you could message them directly and time when you're reaching out to them.
And I will also, I'm going to add one slight caution in here. And this is a cautionary tale because it happened to one of our board members who used the reach out feature. I I tend to do emails, and I know that it's a fabulous tool through GiveGab, and I'm not going to tell you not to use it, but I tend to do my own emails through my own personal email account just because that's how I choose to do it. But this reach out option of going through the GiveGab page is super helpful, but you might want to give your folks a slight caution. One of our board members chose to use that access contacts button there, and it brought in over 1,000 people from her address book, and she did not realize it until she started getting these donations from random people that she hadn't heard from in a really long time, and they were donating $10 and $20, and it turned out that they were perfectly happy to support her, but she had not realized at the time that she had sent an email to over 1,000 people. So it had both a good thing and a maybe not so great thing, but just realize what's happening as you use it, and you control it a little bit differently, but you might have to help people with that.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. So again, because you do have that unique URL, if you have just a handful of people you want to reach out to, feel free to use your personal email window, whatever you like to use. So you can, on the Peer Fundraiser dashboard, there's a little box that has a unique URL, very similar to how your Giving Day profile URL is laid out for you. So you can copy and paste that URL into your email client. And that's, again, you can use that URL to access your page and see what it will look like to the rest of the donors just by copying and pasting that into your browser window right there. And if you do have any questions about this, about the buttons, the reach out feature, anything, you can always reach out to GiveGab using the little blue chat bubble in the bottom right corner of your screen. We are happy to help you there, and especially for these peer fundraisers who might not be as tech savvy, we let them know that we are available to help them in any aspect of fundraising, whether it's you as the organization administrator or as your peer fundraisers as well.
And one thing that I think I will do early next week, because we're recording this, is in addition to the Blue Bubble and all the resources on GiveGab, I think on the Valley Gives website that all the organizations go to, the Community Foundation / Valley Gives, I'll put together some of the help information in one place for peer fundraising so that you'll have one page to go to where you can just sort of either listen to the discussion today for someone who you might want to, have help you, or also sort of do the help. So I'll consolidate some of that, but the blue button is definitely the go-to. And I would just, sort of underscore the fact that GiveGab is without a doubt here to help. So if you're interested in exploring the peer fundraising, but some of it didn't make sense, or you just have a question about a particular thing, using the blue bubble and then, looking at their help articles will probably get you where you need to be. And my sense is, as Sara sort of talked about, there's learnings and there's different events. So we're focused on Valley Gives this time. If you do it this time, you might learn things, that when it comes around to Giving Tuesday, you might want to do it differently. So, the foundation is really here to sort of help provide new tools. So if you discover that this is something that your organization can benefit from in Valley Gives, thinking about, whether it's Giving Tuesday or some other kind of campaign, you might want to be doing that later, but this is the start. So I highly encourage it. I do think, as Sara referenced at the beginning, it's a very effective way. And for those of you who were in the social media workshop we did, the whole idea of concentric circles, where organizations only know who they know, which is sort of the limited universe. The key is really getting beyond that to, the friends and families and acquaintances of the people who support you and are passionate about you. Whether they can give you money or not, they're connected to lots of people. And so getting the pipeline filled with people you don't know is really one of the challenges, and peer fundraising is a way to achieve that. So I would say it's a great tool. So since there are no other questions that got typed in that I can see, I'm totally fine with wrapping up. If you guys if you have any other final thoughts before we sign off, or you think we're good.
I will offer myself if folks have questions about something that I said that I either said too fast or it didn't make sense or they want to talk more about it. Michael, you have my information, but I will also say now my email address is setelman, Etelman, at girlsinc.holyoke.org. Feel free to send me emails or look me up and call me.
Yeah, and I will send that out to everyone who's on the call probably within the next hour, just because life happens. And so if you get it in your inbox, it might be easier to follow up with Sarah. And Rachel, is there anything you want to chime in before we take off?
No, I mean, just definitely explore it. Like Sarah said, go ahead and start. You can look into it now. Now is pretty much the perfect time since donations do open up on April 26th. So keep spreading that word. See if you can start thinking of who would be really great peer fundraisers for you. Start talking to them and getting them excited and interested in this. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to GiveGab using that blue chat bubble, or you can email us at customersuccess@givegab.com. And I'm sure Michael will send that as well.
Yes, I will. Well, thank you all for joining us. I do apologize that our question functionality did not work, but I think we got some good information out, and there's ample ways for sort of following up for questions. So I hope everyone has a good rest of the day, and thank you for joining us. Okay, take care.